Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Bijan and this is my account SoCal Expeditions. If you guys are feeling generous, please give this video a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, just dislike it twice. Doesn't matter to me. But today we're going to be doing something awesome. I recently put on 35 by 12.5 by 17 inch tires on the truck, and now the front rubs just a tiny bit. I dialed the alignment down, but Mark is going to explain what we're going to do so that we can fit these 35s.
So what we're going to do is cut his fenders and over fenders. So when the tire travels, it stops rubbing. It right now doesn't rub too much, but as soon as we hit a little bit of terrain, off-road, or the curb at the mall, it does rub, especially when he turns the wheel more than like a full turn.
All the fender liners got to come out from underneath. We're going to be cutting the fenders and behind the fenders, so the actual fender itself. So fender flares and fender, both going to need to be cut. So we'll remove all the plastic fender liner from inside, just pull it out, make our life easier. And then we're going to try and save as much of the fender liner as possible. I've yanked out my fender liner before, and constantly what happens is just rocks get shot up and then start dinging my fender from the inside out, and it looks ugly. So figure this will stop that. So we'll see. We're going to pull out the fender liners and then I'll catch up with you guys.
Taking the fender flare off. We already got it kind of popped off a little bit to make it easier, but we get this off, and what we're going to do next is I'm going to draw myself a line, and I'm going to cut directly probably about a 1/4 inch below all these holes to make for clearance for the tire. Especially here's where it's most important. You want to make sure you cut down, because as you can tell, this is where it rubs, all this. And then what else we're going to do is we're going to find a new line, and we're going to cut this. We're going to first use the body saw, then we're going to use a flapper disc, and then I'm going to use a file to clean all the burrs off.
One thing to note is that even if your cut looks horrible on the body, it's all covered up by that flare. So, for instance, you can cut 2.5 inches right up to the clips on the body, but you don't have to cut 2.5 inches on the actual flare itself. So we're going to go ahead, get it cleaned up, and then we'll start drawing lines and getting some cuts done.
The OEM Toyota clips are terrible. You either want to buy some of these. These are all broken already, as you can tell. They break as you pop them out. They're kind of a pain in the butt to take out. So you can either replace them with zip ties. The fitment's going to be kind of terrible with zip ties, because that's what I did on my Tacoma. Or for a very inexpensive price, you can order them at Toyota. Might take a little bit to get in, but the OEM clips are your best bet. What we just did is we removed the bumper clip to try to salvage it, because this is what holds the bumper. So if we can't salvage it, we're gonna have to find a new way to mount the corners of the bumper right here. The tire's in the way. A little stress relieving ripper on the King sponsored pit bike. Also, it is available for trade or even a raffle. Let me know what you guys think. So right now what we're doing is I did the cut on the fender flare. We're trying to go with a nice subtle look. So what I did is I took off the body line that was down here, and what I'm doing now is I'm using a flapper disc to slowly basically kind of sand it down to like a nice shape. The problem is it creates a lot of burrs and it's plastic, or because it's plastic, and you got to make sure you clean it off nicely so you can see the shape that it's coming to before you go too far. But I think maybe a little bit more work on this corner. This one's perfect, and I think we'll be done on this side.
Alright, so it's been a little bit of time now, and we have the fender cut and the fender painted as well. So go ahead, just cover up all those bare metal parts. We're just using some basic Duplicolor stuff. Works extremely well. But we have the fender flares cut and the fenders cut. Feels like I haven't been on the camera at all today. I've just been filming other people doing stuff. So Mark's still working on the driver's side fender flare, trying to get that dialed in. It's kind of hard because I didn't know exactly what I wanted. On the second gen flares, it was a lot easier to cut those and get them to look nice versus these third gen ones. I don't know why, but we're working on it. We're getting it dialed. This part of cutting the fender flares is just about your preference. How high do you want to cut? You can go ahead and use a tape measure, run it around the fender flare, cut 2 inches, cut 3 inches. We're trying to do something different. I want it to taper on the ends and be symmetrical. So it's difficult. It's a lot harder than just taking 3 inches off or 2 inches off and just using a tape measure and drawing a really easy line. So let's go take a look at what we got so far. Here's a quick sneak peek at a cut fender on the passenger side. Looks pretty good. Still need to flap disc it, but almost done.
So right now we got the fender cut, we got the flares cut. Now the last step before you start putting everything back together is the bumper clip. As I recently mentioned, you want to take it off so you don't destroy it. And now basically what I have is I have the bumper pushed back into the clip, and I'm going to trim it right along the bumper right here, and we're done. We can start putting things back together. Muchos pantalones. I feel like Pablo.
That means a lot of pants. Mark, the guy who's been doing all the work today, the man behind the camera right now, also does a bunch of truck installs, including fender flare cutting, viper cuts, cab mount chops, pretty much anything you need, even including suspension installs, oil changes, whatever it is. If you're in the Phoenix area and you're looking to get something like this done, because there's not a lot of shops out here, like California where I live, you should hit up Mark, and for $100 a fender, he'll go ahead, cut your fenders, your fender flares, and include the VatoZone trim tape, so you too can have such a good look just like this. Now, let me just say, he's done pretty much all the work on my truck for me, which is nice. He cut my rear bumper high clearance, he cut my fender flares, he didn't do my cab mount chop, but he did do my viper cut. I will be the vouch that he does good work. So if you're interested in getting that done, please hit me up, and his Instagram is going to be right here.